Welcome to the World of Horror bonus Quinnisode, where my friend Quinn comes on the pod to talk about a film that means the world of horror to her, or is a film that I've been trying to get her to watch for years and finally succeeded. And that's the case with the film today, Lady in a Cage. Hope you enjoy this bonus episode. Let's start with our first segment, Christina and Quinn chat. Hi, Quinn. How's it going?
Hi, Christina. It's going okay.
We are at the tail end of our winter break. And I liked it when we were at the beginning of the winter break better.
Yeah, I'm just in a nasty mood. All the time.
But you weren't in a nasty mood for the whole time, were you?
The whole break?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Just it's impending going back to work.
Yeah.
Mood. No, it was a good break. I went to Michigan for a lot of it and kind of did a lot of nothing. So it was such a good break in that it was very different from last year, where I spent a lot of it in the ICU visiting my dad. So this was like a much chiller break, you know.
Yeah.
It just went by fast.
Yeah, they always do.
Yeah, they do. Today is Kennedy's birthday.
Oh, really? How old is Kennedy?
She's 5.
Oh, no, that's not real.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
She was...
She was born during COVID.
She was like pre-COVID, but barely. Well, no, probably not technically pre-COVID, but yeah. Before we knew about COVID. You know, I'd sent them Christmas presents and whatnot, and then kind of dropped the ball on Kenny's birthday. So I just sent her yesterday a hover soccer ball.
Oh, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks cool. She is a gal that loves dirt and dinosaurs and insects and lizards. So yeah, she's I don't know what to get her because I know she has tons of all of those things. So yeah. So hopefully this hover soccer ball is cool.
Sounds cool. I want one.
I know. It's an indoor thing. It has like a little bumper around. It's a disc, not a ball.
Okay.
But yeah.
There's this, it reminds me of this cat toy I want to get for Rosie, and it's a flying bird, and it, the videos look really cool. It looks like it's actually like flying in your house.
Yeah. In one of the reviews, someone said, my dog didn't like the noise, but he loves the disc. I'm like,
yeah,
you bought it for your dog. Okay.
Yeah. Oh boy.
How was your break?
It was pretty good. I kind of didn't do a whole lot either. Watched a lot of TV. Oh boy. I watched a lot of series. And on the last day of the year, I saw Nosferatu. But I didn't really watch that many movies last year. I've been looking at all these top 10 lists and everything. And they're great because I get a lot of ideas from them. But I just realized I really didn't see that many movies in the theater. My Regal app says I saw 10. That doesn't seem like a lot.
No, it doesn't seem like a lot. So what are some of the top movies that I don't want to put you on the spot, but like that you just read about?
Anora.
I saw Anora.
Yeah. Oh, you saw it?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
I did like it.
Okay.
It's hard to watch, but it left me like really asking a lot of questions, and I liked that. And I don't know. I did really like it. I really liked it. I don't know
Yeah.
if I'm supposed to like it, but I did.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I mean, Florida Project and Tangerine are the only other ones I've seen, and I don't know if I would watch Tangerine again, but I'd watch Florida Project again. But it was very sad. It was like very tough, and I know that has prevented you from watching it. Although I think you would love it.
Yeah. This is really tough too, and it's really sad. And when I finished it, I said, I'll never watch that again. But then I kept like asking questions and like pulling the thread for, I don't know, it's appealing to me and I will go back to it. But I think it's triggering for people.
Yeah, trying to think of some other ones that have been on lists and stuff. I mean, a lot of people like The Substance and Long Legs, like a lot of horror films. Um,
I really want to see The Substance. I know you
you
saw
should.
it.
I mean, you should. I mean, it's real gross, and there's the grossness doesn't bother me as much as there's a section at the end that's real bloody, and it just goes on and on and on. It's a fight, and that's kind of the thing about this movie. I was listening to this podcast I like a lot. It's like three guys, and two of them really like The Substance, and one of them didn't. And the one who didn't was saying, I felt like I was being slapped in the face like throughout the whole film. And I can totally get that because it's not subtle, and it's in some places it's very brash. And so I could totally get why, people wouldn't be down
Yeah.
for it. And I mean, the message is very obvious, but I don't think it's really about the message. It's more about the style of the film.
Okay.
So,
I wonder
and
on, if it's free somewhere right now.
oh, probably not yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are a lot that I want to see, but I don't think I want to, buy the whole film um, yet. And I don't think they're rentable yet.
Okay.
Um, I liked In a Violent Nature. I don't know if it was like would be on anybody's top 10 list, but maybe. But I thought about that one and Cuckoo like really stuck with me.
I wanted to
Um,
see that one. I don't think
yeah,
I know In a Violent Nature.
In a Violent Nature is a slasher, but it's from the killer's point of view.
Oh,
And our friend Chrissy Champagne did not like it, but I liked it. And I think Nosferatu is on some lists, understandably so.
yeah. Um, our buddy at work that loves The Witch has recently posted about Nosferatu that he had to walk out of it.
What is wrong with him? That's that's strange. It's a
Yeah.
gorgeous film. I mean, even if you are offended by some of the acting, maybe that's the only thing I think was kind of amiss with it was some of the acting, but oh my god, is it gorgeous.
Yeah. I will send you what he said cuz I was going to take a screenshot of it. I didn't know if you're friends with him or not, but he said something about having loved The Witch and being so excited for every other movie. He also hated The Lighthouse. Um,
Oh well,
so because I was like, "What about The Lighthouse?" And he's like, "Oh, I actually bought The Lighthouse sight unseen, having loved The Witch so much." And he's like, "And I I didn't like what he was doing." I was like, "What?" It is
what?
so good. I also love The Witch, though. We know this about
I
me.
wouldn't say I love it. I think I love it until the ending, but I yeah, I think I love it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I mean, okay, there's been 4 movies, right? So I would say Lighthouse, Nosferatu, Witch, and Northman for me.
I don't know what I would put first, the Witch or the Lighthouse. Of course, I haven't seen Nosferatu. But I almost think I really enjoy the Witch, and of course, I love the Lighthouse. And I did not
I
mind
I mean,
Northman.
no, I didn't mind Northman either. I mean, out of the 4, I think those are 4 great films, but I mean, I think The Witch is a better film than The Northman.
Well, I think the Witch and the Lighthouse work so well together, and he's doing a lot of similar things in building. And I love the small world there. And
Mhm.
then the Northman is so big, and it's like, well, I say I didn't mind it. Like, it wouldn't be a movie that I would see the trailer of and be like, I gotta see that, but I had to because it was him. And then I thought, oh, I like this more than I thought I would, but I would not have put it at like Egger's level in any
Yeah.
way. But
I I think, I mean, I think he had a lot of money for Nosferatu, but and I think he built like all of the sets or whatever. Um it made me want to see like all the Dracula movies, like every iteration, like because even that stupid The Shadow of the Vampire, um there was something that reminded me of that film. And I mean, that was about making Nosferatu, the original one.
yeah,
So, but some of the cinematography I think was echoing back to previous, Dracula films. And so, yeah, it made me want to watch them. Not my favorite like genre of horror, but
yeah,
yeah, this
yeah.
one
I
has
think
a real weird take on it too. So, but
okay.
you'll see it in a couple of days.
I'm excited to see it. I've been really excited to see it, like super stoked because I think he's like just the Witch and the Lighthouse have just set him up for this. Like he is like the renaissance of German expressionism. Like so, those two movies to me are reflective of that era so much. Mostly like the lines and things, and then like the contrast of light and shadow. And I don't know. When I heard he was doing this, I was like, whoa, bam, this is perfection. Because no one else, I mean, not that no one else could do Nosferatu, it's been done before, but him doing it felt so special, and so like a perfect match for him, because I do think he like has to have taken so much from that period. I don't know.
He is definitely an artist. I'll give you that. And I think The Lighthouse is about a perfect movie. Like I don't really think there's anything he could have done better in that movie.
Yeah.
So the only problem I had is that really the casting of the female lead in
Okay.
Nosferatu. Her acting was not good to me, but I've heard other people say she was amazing. And
That's Lily Dot Bright.
yeah, yeah, not my favorite. I mean, I don't really know her, but in this role, she wasn't my favorite. But everything else was like, yeah, I'm excited to see it again with you.
Me too. Yay.
Yay. So we'll go back to school all fresh from Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so, but today we are here to talk about, oh my God, I just looked at my phone and it said snow possible this evening.
Mm.
I mean, I don't think so because it's like 50 degrees out there or something.
Yeah.
The sun is shining, but earlier it was really overcast and it really felt like, okay, I could see a storm coming. It was really windy.
Yeah.
And last night, I swear it smelled like snow. The air smelled like snow.
So maybe, but I kind of don't think so.
Yeah. It was so beautifully sunny this morning and then got so dark. And now, yeah, it's brighter.
Yeah, I went for a walk and it was chilly, but it was nice. So I finally got you to watch Lady in a Cage. And sometimes we just give the brief, like, plot summary from IMDb, but this time I thought we could do some taglines from the movie, original taglines. And one of them is, "What happens in this elevator is not for the weak." And then the next one is, "What happens in this elevator is not for the weak. It is perhaps not even for the strong." And another one was, "She was caged in a nightmare of greed, bestiality, and murder." But I was like, bestiality? Is that because James Caan calls himself an animal? Or
I don't know. I don't think
I don't think they meant that word.
No, I don't think they think that word is what they think it is.
Like bestial, okay. And then I guess you would turn that into bestiality, but I don't think that's what they meant.
I don't think so either.
Maybe the word has changed meaning since 1964.
Maybe it's like monstrous.
Yeah. Probably that. Like a beast, kind of. Okay, and then it says, "Do not see Lady in a Cage alone."
Did you see it alone?
I did. I saw it alone both times. How about you? Oh, you saw it with your parents. Oh my God.
In true Quinn fashion, I saw it with my mother and father. And
nice movie, Quinn.
It's like I could see my brother just walking out the door after screaming, "Nice movie, Quinn!"
And your dad liked it, but your mother did not.
No, well, they both say that they did not like it at all. But then my dad kept referencing it and bringing it up in different ways throughout the following week that made me feel as though he did like it. And I've tried to get him to watch movies with me. Once I was in Michigan for my birthday, and I said the only thing I want for my birthday is for him to watch Whatever Happened to Baby Jane with me. And this was probably like 15 years ago. And he threw a fit. He was like, "I will not watch that movie with you. I would rather," than like insert every ridiculous saying, and he said, "I'm not wasting my life anymore watching things I don't want to watch." And I think that's really good advice. But I don't know what happened this day. I don't think I said I had never seen it, so I really wasn't able to give a good description of it. But I was like, you can just start watching it, and if you hate it, then you can just leave, Because my mom will watch anything. If I say, "Hey, do you want to watch this?" She'll say something like, "No, but she will," or she'll say, "Yeah, okay," and she's kind of game for anything. I could get her to watch anything, I think. But my dad will not. He does not waste his time anymore.
I kind of had that same thought the other day. Like, I have a friend who's a year younger than I am, and she said, like, she's trying to be, like, happy. I know it sounds dumb, but I mean, she's really trying to be happy and be, like, not stressed and stuff. She goes, "I've got, like, 20 good years left? I don't want to waste them being miserable." And I was just like, oh my God. Like, thinking about it like that is like, that really puts things into perspective. And yeah, I'm not interested in, like, I was watching this show. Have you seen this show, The Floor?
No.
With Rob Lowe?
No.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And I got caught up in it, and I watched like 3 episodes and I was like, what am I doing? Like, this is not improving my life in any way. Now don't get me wrong. I'm still going to watch Love is Blind and The Circle and whatever that other one is, The Ultimatum. I'll still watch those.
Yay.
But yeah.
I don't know. In the past few years, I've gotten to the end of a season of a TV show, and like with 15 minutes left of the last episode, I stopped.
Yeah, you did that with the Dollhouse.
Huh.
Yeah, you're like, I don't care.
Yeah, I was like, well, I'm done now. I mean, if I would have been done earlier, I would have been done earlier, but that was the moment I was done, and that was that.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed because Michael Fassbender is on a spy show now called The Agency. And I listened to this podcast that kind of like breaks down, recaps TV shows and stuff. And sometimes I only listen if I know what they're talking about. But I had seen a couple of episodes of The Agency, and then they said, yeah, it's gotten real dumb. And I was like, well, then I don't know if I want to watch it. Dumb spy show doesn't sound good to me.
Yeah, that looked really good to me, but
yeah,
I don't think I have the streaming service it's on.
You might not. It's like, is it MGM? Oh, it's Showtime.
No.
It's Showtime through Paramount or something like that. I don't know how I have it, but that was the other thing too. I was like, I am spending too much money. I'm just going to like cancel everything. And I did cancel Netflix. It like clicks off at some point soon. But I literally cannot cancel Hulu. Like Disney will not let me do it. Like you have to go through Disney, and I don't know my password. And so it'll take a day if I want to cancel Hulu.
You may have to offer up Sam,
I know,
your firstborn, to get out of that. I ended up calling someone once, and she just basically by the end of the conversation said, well, you don't have Disney through this service. You must have it through and I'm like, what?
Yeah. Disney, I mean, whatever they've got going on is really good because it's really convoluted, and it's been since they merged with that Disney merged with Hulu or vice versa.
Yeah.
But that's the most expensive one. That's $20 a month. I mean, because I pay not to have commercials.
Oh yeah.
So, but then I canceled Prime, and then I thought, does that mean my Kindle is going to go away also? Because that's a Amazon thing, right?
Well, I know like Audible is an Amazon thing too, and when you cancel Audible, you still have access to the audiobooks you have that you bought. So
okay, well that seems fair. So that's not such a big deal. But anything I watch on Prime, the Prime channel, now I'm going to have to watch commercials or pay. You know,
I don't have the commercial free one. I mean, I still have Prime, but it's not. I haven't gone to the commercial free one.
Yeah, I think it's like $10 a month not to have commercials or something. It's a racket. Okay, so this was directed by Walter Grauman and written by Luther Davis. It stars Olivia de Havilland as Mrs. Cornelia Hilliard, James Caan as Randall, Jennifer Billingsley as Elaine, Jeff Corey as George L. Brady Jr., a.k.a. Repent, Ann Southern, the Repent guy, the drunk. Okay. And then why don't they call him the drunk? Okay, Ann Southern as Sadie and Rafael Campos as Essie. And then a little further down the list, it said Scatman Crothers as the junkyard proprietor's assistant.
Amazing.
Very cool. So he must have been, I don't know, 17 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cinematography by Lee Garms, edited by Leon Barsha, music by Paul Glass, cool name. And it was released on July 8th, 1964, which is great because it takes place during the summer. So that's kind of perfect. It has a running time of 94 minutes, which I think is just about right.
Mac would watch it.
Mac would watch it. And if you watch the trailer, if anybody, well, host Q-Balls, anybody watches a trailer, you know, the premise is laid out, you know, pretty clearly in the beginning. Olivia de Havilland is a rich bitch and she gets trapped in her private elevator when the power goes out to her house. It doesn't go out for the whole neighborhood. It just goes out to her house. Because I think a car or something backs into the wire yeah. So she's trapped in this elevator as it had just started going from the second floor to the ground floor. And that would be pretty scary. What do you think?
Yes, I do think it would be scary. I do think that seemingly the amount of time from when she realizes that she's trapped to when she starts going a little cuckoo seems a little quick, but I mean, I cannot say how I would handle that situation either. I think I would go cuckoo as well pretty quickly, but I remember when watching this thinking, she's only been trapped a few minutes. She's not doing well.
Well, if you only have 94, I guess you got to sort of, you know, get to it. But part of the problem is her son, who she lives with, has left for the weekend. So she isn't expecting anybody to sort of come by. So that's a problem. So I think he's coming back actually on Tuesday. And this is Friday.
Yes.
So that's, you know, the prospect of being in this elevator that many days would do it for me.
Yeah, and I don't know if you mentioned this, but she's recently she's recovering from breaking her head. And she does seem to have someone that comes and helps her.
Okay.
But of course that person is not coming for the weekend.
Not on the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's talk about her relationship to her son and her son. We see him in the beginning of the movie writing a letter to her and he leaves it for her. He also calls her darling. That seems like kind of like a 50s kind of a thing, but maybe they were still doing that in the 60s, calling your mom darling.
I don't know. I think it took me way too long to understand that they were mother and son and not mother and lover.
Yeah. And I think some of that might be intentional because there's definitely at least emotional incest.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And so like the very first scene is him writing a letter to her and it's like, my darling, and you know, I think that he's writing it to his partner, lover, whatever. And I think you only see a line that says, if not, I will have to kill myself or something. But you don't see the middle of it and you don't know what the middle of it or the majority of it says until kind of near the end. But yeah, I think maybe like right before he went out the door, I said aloud, I mean, that I thought that they were together. I think the casting's funny because I think Olivia de Havilland looks younger than she is, and at this moment, and Malcolm looks older, and they're awkward.
Yeah.
Oh my God, something's going on there. And honestly, you and I will always find the mother-son
incest. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
I think it's just so prevalent in the 60s.
I mean, apparently, if like the Manchurian Candidate is to be believed.
Yeah. Oh boy. And Psycho.
And Psycho, yeah. Okay, so that's 60. So that sort of kicked it off, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we don't know, but we know that there's something obviously amiss with this relationship, and he's clearly unhappy. And so the first person, so she has an alarm that sounds in the alley, but that has also been disconnected. And so now she's just screaming at the top of her voice for anyone to come and help her. And of course, the funniest part is when she says, I am trapped. I am trapped in small private elevator. And oh my God, that gets me every time.
That's the best.
So
and
I'm like,
during this, the phone is also ringing. So she's like,
yeah.
oh, if I could just, answer the phone somehow, they would know. Uh-oh, I think that dog might bark. Okay.
And it's Malcolm calling all the time, right?
I don't know. You seem to know what's going on with Malcolm, and I don't have the same idea of what's going on with him.
Well, I think he wants to talk to her, and he wants to get her to release him. And if she doesn't, then he'll have to kill himself. But I think all of the phone calls are him calling to talk to her, and then when she doesn't pick up, I think he kills himself.
This is so dramatic. Malcolm, I have trouble with you.
Well, okay. I mean, to be fair, he's a gay man in 1964, so it's, not the easiest existence.
I know, but I just didn't feel like she was that horrible or cruel or like needy. I mean, she's needy, but like I know she is, I'm sure, all of those things to him, and like the emotional dependence that she has. I'll say this too, damned if I didn't, the entire time I was in Michigan, whenever I could, say, release me from your kindness, release me from your love. Like my mom would ask me to run an errand for her and give me $10 and she'd say, you can keep the rest. Like it's whatever. And I would say, release me from your kindness.
Oh my God. Well, I don't know that Malcolm kills himself, but I think that's definitely a possibility. And, in his mind, his mother would have just like not accepted the deal. I mean, she's saying that they can go to Paris and Rome together. Like, I don't know. I love my kids, but it seems like they do this a lot.
Yeah. I was like, I will go with you.
Olivia de Havilland? Yes.
Hell yeah.
Oh my God. National treasure, Olivia de Havilland.
It's funny because after I watched it, I said something about Malcolm to you, and you said, oh, well, he's a goner. And I said, what? I think that I couldn't even really conceptualize that this plan that he wrote out was actually going to happen.
Yeah,
like,
I think so.
And if
I think you said, I'm worried about Malcolm.
And then I think I said, oh, Christina says that Malcolm just kills himself. And my dad was like, how does she know that? Is that somewhere? Like, is that in the end that we didn't see? It's like, no, it's just assuming.
I mean, I could be wrong. Q-Balls get in touch. I mean, maybe I'm just a really grim person and I'm interpreting this in the worst way. But being trapped in an elevator would be one thing, but then her shouting attracts this wino, who I guess is credited as Repent in the credits, who comes into her house and finds that she has a whole kind of cupboard of liquor. and that he's salivating over.
Yeah, and he's I think he's like cooking wine, and then he's trying to drink that but breaks that bottle, and then maybe like trying to find some like a towel, finds this whole this whole room of wine. And he puts them all in his pockets and starts to walk out, but then he puts them back, and I think he leaves without them because he is fighting this battle within himself to not drink. And then he goes to a person that he's recently met's house, who maybe like gave him some money, and she said, "You'll never return this," and he like slips the money under her door, and she comes out, and then she becomes another main character in the story. So he tells her about the house and how this woman is stuck in her residential elevator, and that she's got all this great stuff, and that's Sadie, and she doesn't really believe him, but then goes with him, and they don't know each other. I hate to say this and like bring it up and then just poof, let it go, but the Repent guy, he reminds me of some actor now, and I cannot for the life of me put my finger on it. Like, he looks like someone who is acting now and is very good, and I cannot connect it.
Oh, yeah, he does, doesn't he? He looks a little, in this first picture, he looks a little like Sam Waterston, just a little around the eyes.
It's like someone young.
Oh, okay. So he's got like really deep set eyes and sort of a like, his forward is very forward, if you know what I mean. And he's got symmetrical features. I mean, he's a very handsome guy.
It's something about his mouth. Maybe it's Christian Bale.
Ah, could be.
His mannerisms though in this movie are horrifying. Like his tongue and
Yeah.
he's really good. He's very, very scary, and he's not the person that, we end up being afraid of course, but he is scary because he's unpredictable, and I think that's the whole message, not the message of the film, but obviously it's a series of circumstances that line up perfectly for this woman to be stuck in a cage while, everyone I don't know.
It's interesting because there's a lot of class stuff obviously going on. She's rich. I mean, she's like so rich that like, everything could be taken out of her house and she wouldn't know the difference really. And I think she sort of says that at one point, like, take whatever you want, like, and so we have the wino who like sees all the wine and everything in her house. And then I guess we get our trio of baddies, right?
Yeah, so the wino takes a toaster and he brings it to the pawn shop, and these three kids hanging out there see him, and they're like, and they're making fun of him, and then they follow him, and they, eventually it leads them back to the house. And so that's when sort of the more terror ensues.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to say about the pawn shop guy is I feel like, I mean, I don't know how he's doing, but he's definitely has more power than like all the other characters besides the lady. So there's just sort of like this network of like power brokers, or kind of like, pawn brokers that kind of come in at the end of the film.
Oh, yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Because, we're not going to get to every detail of this, but like those three come in, one of them being James Caan, and then his girlfriend, and then a friend of theirs. And I think it's kind of suggested that he's escaped from jail or prison or just been released, maybe. I thought he escaped for some reason. But these three seem to have no, I don't know. They are not living by the same rules that civilization lives by. And they are, again, the terror that ensues. And they spend much of the movie just packing away her valuable things in the garage, right? Like to get it all in one place. And then in the end, Sadie calls the pawn shop because she needs help, because she's afraid, because these three kind of make Sadie and the wino do the work of gathering the stuff. So they're like, sort of indentured to these three just because they're crazy. Well, especially James Caan. And she calls the pawn shop guy because she's scared, and she says, there's this stuff, they're trying to take it, you can have it. And he just shows up with a couple of cars and like in 5 minutes is hauling all of it away.
Yeah, it's really great. But yeah, the girlfriend, she takes a bath at one point and she's trying on the clothes and things like that. So she's sort of trying on, I don't know, this life that she's not accustomed to. And I think James Caan, it has been released, maybe. And I don't think it was prison. I think it was an insane asylum, because he says asylum.
Oh.
So that's scarier.
Yeah. And it's also, I don't even think suggested. I think you see him abusing her physically.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And Essie, too.
Yeah, and then Essie, like, and Southern almost gets away at one point, and he puts a knife, like, underneath her chin. I mean, it's very scary. It's sort of like this power that they have over the trying to think of what the trailer called her. I think she's the weird. No, wait. She's the, what is she? So there's the wino, the weirdo,
Wilder,
the wildo.
Wilder.
But I'm trying to think what she is. The hustler. She's the hustler. Okay. So, and I don't know, I guess she's a sex worker. I don't know. Or maybe
I
she
did
just
not get that. I don't know though. I mean, I thought she was kind of like a con person. Like
okay.
she set up like a long con and like little cons, and she's fat. We do know that.
Oh yeah, she's fat. She's probably a size 10, maybe.
Maybe.
She's not fat, but she refers to herself as fat, and James Caan calls her fat. So, yeah.
She's,
and James Caan does kill the wino, and that's about the apex of the horror for me, anyway. That he actually went through with it. They threatened to kill these guys, and then they actually do kill one of them. And we get the line that the strangers stole, right? Why are you doing this? And he says, because you're here. So I think the strangers owes this huge debt to Lady in a Cage.
Yeah, right. And there is like, it doesn't seem like he cares that much about the valuables, James Caan, and he is really just doing it for the chaos and the horror of it, I think. And she at one point realizes that she can open the elevator doors, and she does a number of things to try and get out, but he ends up coming up to her and gets in the elevator, with her and sort of threatening her. And I think this happens right after Essie finds the letter that Malcolm has written his mother. And that's when it's revealed that he wants to be released from her love and her kindness. And also, like, the rest of the details are there. And it's like, I will call the house or whatever, and you will answer and we will talk about this. And if you do not, then I will take it as you not accepting it and I will kill myself. But it's this really, like, very, very intimate moment in that elevator where it is, you think he's gonna kill her, but also he's playing with her. And also, like, I think he sees her as like a mother figure too, in a way. He has this sort of intimacy with her that's weird.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know how, something with the letter too. I think Essie asks, like, is the son gay? And actually, I was looking at the trivia, and apparently this was one of the first usages of gay to mean homosexual. So that's kind of interesting. But I don't know what it was in the letter or what, kind of tipped that off. But
yeah, one of them is like, well, he's not married. He doesn't go on dates. And then they keep sort of taunting her with it. It's like, it's
horrible.
So
it's like basically her whole life and her whole identity now has been taken away from her. And also she understands that what she thought the relationship was, wasn't. The nature of the relationship wasn't the way she saw it.
Yeah, I wanted to say something before we move on or I forget. When I first started watching this, that opening sequence is just about one of the coolest things I've ever seen. But also, I was like, how do these still shots relate? And I could not figure it out until like an hour after I finished the movie. But then I had to go back and like look at just Google opening sequence and see it again. And I still am not sure because I wanted them all to fit in like super simply in the movie, like to, I don't know, to be like bookends type thing, but they're not. They're just like, they're like images of things that make you freaked out. But they're not overt. I mean, the dog is, of course, in the end. But like, you've got like this couple making out in a car. And I just watched it again. And on the radio, they're talking about, well, where's the anti-devil missile? If we can protect ourselves from this and this, but we can't protect ourselves from the devil. And like this couple's making out, but they're naked, like they're about to have sex. And it's like this little girl is next to this guy who's passed out, probably drunk in the sun. And she's got roller skates on and she takes a roller skate and skates it up his leg back and forth, which was like, what? And then like some firecracker going off and hitting the house. And then there's a dog that's kind of like decaying in the road. Nobody is looking at the dog. Or are they looking at the dog?
The dog gets hit.
The dog is hit, but then nobody does anything.
No, they just continue on. I think it's a holiday weekend, right? Like the 4th of July.
Yeah.
And people are going out of town. But I thought that was, particularly cold. Like nobody stops to check on the dog or anything. It was so sad.
Yeah. It was so sad. It's like, but it also sets up a world that you then see reflected in this movie of like, nobody fucking cares about you. You're alone and you're ignored. And I mean, I'm not saying that no one cares about each other, but when it comes down to it, this woman, she's got this money. You expect it to be like maybe family money. She's, she's rich. She has a son that she's raised who stays close to her, who's helping her through this illness, this hip replacement or whatever, just recovering from breaking her hip. And in the end, like, these people are just, I mean, they're taking advantage of her, but they go, a mile further and like hurt her, but then also at times are just completely ignoring her.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's painful to have something that's like right there in your face hanging down and to ignore it. And that something is a person, a human.
Well, right. So I don't know how the dialogue exactly goes, but she does talk about that, like how she's civilized and James Caan isn't civilized. And he says that he's an animal, and he makes the comparison like, I'm an animal, you're a human being. But then later he says he's going to kill all of them, including the human being. So it's like the wino and the hustler might be trash, it doesn't really matter. But actually, this woman who's like above them, literally, he's going to kill her too. For what? For nothing, just for fun.
Yeah. That makes sense then, that he just kept saying, and our human being and our human, and yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, whenever people make these distinctions between different kinds of people, and it just happened in Squid Game. So, and that's not really a spoiler. It happens in the first episode. And if you know anything about Squid Game, it's already kind of baked into the show. But making the distinction between like people and like low class people or like trashy people, whenever people do that, it's always like so disgusting. And she does it. I mean, she doesn't see them as people either. So there's this like mismatch between them.
Yeah, it's just so pessimistic.
Yeah.
All of it.
And then so she finally forces herself out of the elevator. And on some of the posters, you sort of see this pose where and I'm like, how did they do this? But she has one of her legs, like, she's trying to extend her leg to the floor, but it's, really far away from the floor. So she's going to break her leg or twist her ankle or something when she falls. And it's really scary because then she like kind of like gets her hips like, through the door thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, how did they do this? I mean, I don't think she leapt herself, must have been a stunt woman, but it's really matched well. Like you can't really tell. And so she jumps down from the elevator cage, and I think she breaks her arm or something. And then she's on her stomach and sort of like doing this army crawl, to the door, dragging her legs behind her. And the first time she's unsuccessful. She gets outside and she's like yelling, but nobody can hear her. And then James Caan drags her back by her hair back into the house. And so, and she, when he drags her back into the house, she actually like blinds him by like forcing, what are they, like knitting needles or something?
Yeah, that she had in the elevator, that she tried to do the same thing to him earlier and they broke, or they cracked in half or something. So then she had the smaller pieces.
Yeah. So now his eyes are all, disgusting, and he is like blind, and he can't see anything. And then she finally gets away. She gets she gets back outside. She's crawling on the sidewalk, like to the to the street, and he chases after her and gets hit by a car. So I don't know. We have two, things hit by a car. This is not a subtle movie.
No, and then you got a close up of his eyes, and then all these cars behind just like slamming on their brakes and looking in awe, not because there's an accident, but like because they see his eyes, I guess. And then it's like, what is that message? Did those people see the dog that was decaying? And like, I don't know.
Yeah. And the shot is kind of funny, but his head is like underneath the tire. So I mean he's gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean nobody's a good person in this this film. And I mean, maybe the people in the cohort, they're not good, but maybe they're more innocent. And the wino, I mean, it depends how you think about it. I think this movie thinks he's a bad person. He thinks he's a bad person. And I'm not sure, probably wasn't common knowledge that alcoholism was a disease at this point in time. But
I thought it was a kind of cool presentation of that, because I saw him as such a sympathetic character. And I don't think in the end he would have done anything to her. And I think he would have maybe even done something to help her get out at least and still get what he wanted. But I think what he wanted would have changed.
Yeah. And I think that's probably why he had to go. Like they sort of saw the weakness, quote unquote, in him. James Caan saw that. And that was probably sympathy for the woman. And so, he had to go because we don't have any room for that in this like dynamic.
Yeah.
So.
And then the cops come, and then it's like the other two, Elaine and Essie, are getting away.
Yeah. And the pawn shop people have come and cleared her out, and they've gotten away with like a truckload of stuff, which is really great.
Yeah.
So how did you feel about this film, Quinn?
When I finished it, I didn't like it. It made me feel gross and scared and just like so pessimistic about human nature. But I don't feel that way about it now. I mean, I do think it's gross and scary and pessimistic, but I think that it's also a necessary message. And I like the way, not necessary message, but I don't know, I like how it's done. I like that I wanted to talk about it after I saw it. At first I didn't. It was like kind of a mini Hereditary thing. But I don't think I let you know that. But I was like, I don't think I can even talk about this. But then, I don't know. Then I kind of went back and I looked at the opening scene again. And I just kept thinking about that and like how it connects. And then when I thought I figured out how it connected, I thought that there was something more there than just the kind of gross, scary story. Because it is scary. I think that the James Caan character is unrelenting and like almost like nothing I've seen. Like he's such a villain. Yeah. He's almost like one of the greatest villains, I think. Because there's no reasoning with him. And he's dehumanized himself and let everyone else dictate that and then became that and can't come back from that. And that's really scary.
Yeah. And I mean, if she were a different kind of person, maybe she could have like tried to get to him, but she's already defensive, like, and she's got her guard up and she is not able to, like, I was just thinking, you could see him as a victim himself, but she certainly doesn't. And so she doesn't treat him really with any humanity. She's just sort of like, why are you doing this? I don't know if she calls him a monster, but after, the revelation with the note and everything, she calls herself a monster, I think, right? I'm the monster. So, she realizes that she has, I don't know, quote unquote, ruined her son.
Oh, Malcolm needs so much therapy. And I do think when they're in the elevator and he's reading the letter, also reading it very, very slowly. So it's like, you're not sure if he, I don't know, knows how to read, or like, or he knows how to read, but you're not sure that he's had much practice. Or is he doing that for emphasis? But there's a moment in there, the only like moment of like, perhaps, and that's why I think you're right in saying that if she were different, she could maybe connect with him in some way that wouldn't probably lead to him not taking stuff or not beating up Elaine, but maybe would lead to him not murdering them all, But there's a moment that's like, it's almost like when he's reading it, like, I don't know, there's a moment that he connects with her and I feel like wants him to be his mother and wants that connection too. But I don't know. I might be like really grasping, but I think there is a moment where he's like tender to her.
So maybe he actually has more humanity, or is capable of more humanity than she is.
Yeah.
I don't know. But she's definitely not a good person. And we feel sympathy for her, and the suspense is, how is she going to get out of this situation? But I mean, at certain points in the film, if she were actually like, if the power like came on suddenly or something like that, it would have been worse for her. So she's sort of protected in a way.
That's a good point.
Yeah. During certain parts of the film. And, she's like a bird or in a cage or something like that. Or she's like, she's physically above them, but she sees herself definitely as like, miles above them.
Yeah.
And she's not.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end, they're both like on the ground. And yeah, we're not, the people are kind of like suspicious of her too, until they're going to understand the story. It's like, what is this crazy woman doing? I can imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think about before anything crazy happened and it was just the wino coming in, how he was just like not even making any contact with her, just sort of sneaking around.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. And she's like just kind of confused, like,
why won't you speak to me?
Poor thing. He's got like other things on his mind. So I was looking at the trivia. And did you know this role was originally announced for Joan Crawford?
No, and you told me this piece of trivia after I watched it, and I was like, I don't think I could watch Joan Crawford in this role.
And she also replaced Crawford in Hush Hush, Sweet Charlotte, which I did not like.
Oh!
No, I didn't care for it. I think we were going to do it once for a Quinny, but we can. Maybe I was just in a bad mood that day, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. I thought this was interesting. The film was initially refused a cinema certificate in the UK by the BBFC. The ban was lifted in 1967 when the film got mostly unfavorable reviews. It was scarcely shown anywhere in the UK outside of London, and has never been revived in Britain nor shown on British television. Why?
I don't know. Because they cannot say that they didn't put out stuff that was more than this.
Well, I mean, there was a pretty big freak out over Peeping Tom, and that was only 4 years earlier. So
So this is 64.
yeah.
Okay. It's just knowing what I do about the Hays Code, like they snuck this in. The Hays Code was taking a nap at the time, and this broke a lot of their rules. But in the end, the villain is punished.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many rules that it breaks, though. So, but this was the very end of the code, so I get it that they were like, oh, "We're sleeping now. We don't care no more." But it's I also think that cinematographer, director was really taking some things from Hitchcock. Like there's a lot of plot stuff here, but then also stylistically, like you got anything that's in black and white at this time, there has to be a reason why, and a good reason. And I think for this material, it's a good reason in general, because you're not seeing the blood again. And the blood is what's going to really tick the code. But, I don't know. The implications with the mother-son thing, the opening sequence the sequence is not Hitchcock, but like the title sequence is.
Yeah.
And then I also think about Rear Window, where you have the bookends of him with broken legs. And you have her with the broken hip, and in the end with the broken hip or legs or whatever. And she's lucky to just have that. But
yeah, it's a little unrealistic, I think. But, she's either broken her other leg, which I would love, or re-broken the leg that is healing, which I would also love. But I feel like there's something wrong with her arm, maybe, but maybe not. I'm not sure. Anyway, she's a little bit fucked up from the fall, but I don't think she's as fucked up as she would realistically be.
Yeah, she's a writer, right?
Oh God, I don't remember. That sounds right. Yeah, she's a poet.
Okay, because in the beginning when she finds herself locked in, she's like making sort of whimsical quips about it, but then like realizes, oh, this might take a day, or this might take the entire long weekend before Malcolm comes back, and then starts to freak out. But she is witty in the beginning.
Yeah. Oh, she's a complicated person, but not a good one.
Yeah.
I also thought this was interesting. A mixture of raw and over easy eggs mixed with paint was used to create the bloody eyeball jelly makeup effect, simulating Randall's blinded eyes at the end of the film.
That's
pretty
cool.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Do you want to read the 5-star Letterboxd reviews?
Yeah. Oh God, I love it. It's been so long.
I know.
Okay, so this is a 5-star review from Reedy on the 29th of April, 2023. Fantastic horror movies all through time since this seemingly owe it a lot. Ooh, I read that weirdly, but yeah. All right.
Definitely.
So this one's by... I can't.
I would say Hieronymus Death.
Hieronymus Death. Okay. Wow, I can't believe this movie has largely been lost to history and isn't heralded as an all-time classic. Stylized, sharp, transgressive, and smart as a whip, this must have been an incendiary film at the time of its release, and it still shocks and dazzles today. A must watch. Yeah, this is shocking to me. This movie grossed me out, made me super uncomfortable, freaked me out, and I watched it with my parents. All right. This is another 5-star from Joshua Felikoff. One of my top 5 home invasion movies of all time, made all the weirder by Olivia de Havilland being the one whose house is invaded. It's bizarrely brutal and gross for the period and was apparently a video nasty, which is odd for a 60s studio picture. It reminds me a bit of the original Funny Games. Same disorienting feeling, same odd double story happening. Really, really excellent.
Some of that I was a little confused by.
I don't know what a video nasty is.
Oh, well, that was actually, like, you remember the movie Censor? She was in charge of sort of deciding whether a movie should be like, was appropriate for the public. And the ones that were rejected were the video nasties.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure what the double story happening in Funny Games is.
I don't either. Seems like a pretty straightforward story. I mean, the only time there's something double happening is when they're playing the game with the kid in the living room and the parents are in the... No, that's not right, because I think the father is debilitated in the living room also. She's in the kitchen. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I didn't like that movie.
Funny Games?
Yeah, don't care for it.
No. I actually, confession, hate home invasion movies.
All of them?
Oh, in general. In general, yes. Oof.
I mean, yeah, this is a home invasion, but I think you're sort of stretching the definition. Well,
yeah, no,
home is invaded.
But when you suggested that we watch this and I watched the trailer, it didn't automatically go, ew, Quinn, no, you don't do home invasion. Like, it was it's not that, it's something more layered, but maybe it starts there, but it isn't a straightforward home invasion.
There are eggs in both movies.
Oh, yeah, because he can borrow eggs.
I don't know what the same odd double story happening means, but
I also don't know why it's made all the weirder by Olivia de Havilland being the one whose house is invaded. Like, that seems to suggest that, something like, I don't know, that's a strange thing.
I mean, maybe it's just because she's so classy, but she's not in sweet Charlotte. Hush, hush, sweet Charlotte. Sweet, hush, Charlotte. All right, here are some 1-star reviews. There were half-star reviews, but they were basically like, this was really boring, or I didn't like this. But Pat, with an exclamation mark, gave it 1 star. The emotional incest was the only scary thing in this movie. Okay, I disagree. I think there was other scary things. That might have been the scariest on some level, but...
That's the thing I have questions about the most, however.
What do you have questions about?
Well, I do want to know what happened to Malcolm, but I think that you're right. I think that he is just that dramatic and did kill himself. But I just want to see, because I don't think she's a good person, but I think she's as bad as you do. And I also think that it's not completely clear that she's completely fucked Malcolm up. I know Malcolm is completely fucked up, but I don't know.
I think there used to be sort of this wrong idea that if you're a mama's boy, or if you're mothered too much, that will turn you gay. And so I feel like that whole thing about how she's ruined him is alluding to that. So, and I don't think he could ever obviously be out or anything like that. And so on a lot of levels, she's not accepting him for who he actually is, even though she knows that he is gay. So that's one level. But the not releasing him, like being dependent upon him and like emotionally dependent, overly dependent, I think is where I'm coming from.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense to me more. That makes more sense to me. In the letter, he says he wants his half, though. And that's almost like you could just leave, but you want the money. So you were there because of the money, or you stayed to some extent because of the money. And you could leave now. You could be released by just absolutely up and leaving. And what would that do to her? It would shatter her. So you're going to write her this note instead and demand that you get half the money. And then you are released. But no,
I also don't think, I don't think it's a cowardly thing when one takes their own life, but I've heard that said a lot. And in a way, he is running away, from his problems, to the ultimate solution. So, he's not a good person either. Yeah.
No, I think so too. And I agree with you about taking one's own life. I have the same view as you do. I think, however, that it is evidenced that he's so fucked up, because if he really did kill himself and wrote it out in this letter, it's so dramatic that he's going to call in 20 minutes. And like that to me means more than anything else. That's like evidence more of this mind than anything else, that it's so over the top.
Yeah, I agree. It is dramatic. It's overly dramatic. And I feel like in codependent relationships, that can often be the dynamic where it's sort of like you can't even be away from each other for very long without like continuing the drama. So I think that would fit into that also. He's clearly not a healthy person. He needs a lot of help, if he's that depressed and he's that unable to deal with his he's that unable to ask for what he needs.
Yeah. He was in a cage himself.
Indeed.
And also she is uncaged at the end, but you also don't feel like she's going to be okay. She's not going to be okay. I think she would have rather gone or she will follow Malcolm, because she will feel like that's like her punishment, or I don't know.
Probably. She'll turn herself into the ultimate victim over it.
The martyr. One time, one of my students, like, when I asked a question, was like, I think he thinks of himself as a martyr about someone. And I was like, oh, God, it's so cute.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I know.
Fatima gave it 1 star. 1 star only because I thought the beginning credits looked cool, lol. There was nothing enjoyable about this movie. Nothing?
I love the beginning credits too.
They're pretty great. Yeah. Lemon Ski or Lemon Sky gave it 1 star. It's like a meeting of Overactors Anonymous.
Holy shit, yes! It definitely is, though.
It is, though.
That woman in the cage in the beginning, before she feels like she's in real danger, when she's going off on her like whimsical poems, it's like, honey. She like sees herself as being on a stage, I think. She's like going through a whole bit.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that also goes to her character, that sort of performative like thing that people insist on doing even in front of family members. Yeah. It's like she's not an authentic person. Like, it's a hot day, and like at one point she's almost like got her self exposed. I mean, she's so hot that she's almost taken like her clothes off, and then she has to cover up, obviously, when she knows that there are other people in the house. But there's a moment where I think she's actually her real self, just for a second. But as soon as like there's another person in the room, she's got to go back to buttoning herself up.
She would be so annoying at a party.
Oh my God.
Especially one that she threw.
Especially if Malcolm was also at the party. Which, of course, he would be, because she can't throw a party by herself.
No, she needs Malcolm.
Oh, so gross. Well, thank you so much for watching this movie. I think you had, strong feelings about it, but I don't think they were the ones you had anticipated having, right? Like, yes. You were kind of scared when you saw the trailer.
I was. I don't want a lady to be in a cage. Whether it's a cell or a residential home elevator.
Oh gosh. Yeah. She's kind of the worst.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't even really talk about Elaine, but I also really, really disliked Elaine.
She was pretty obnoxious. Yeah. Yeah. Poor Elaine, but also she's messed up.
Something about that voice.
I mean, my favorite character is Ann Southern's character. I just think she's the best. Oh gosh. Even though she's fat.
Hog. Big lady. So I think that they make reference to her being fat maybe like 7 times.
Yeah. It's
an hour and a half.
Ongoing thing. And I'm like, did they want somebody else in their role that was actually fat, or what happened there? Because she definitely is not.
No, she is not. She's beautiful and has an amazing body. So,
yeah, but she's, I don't know, she's sort of game for adventure. I like that about her. She's trying to cheat the system.
Yeah, and I hate to do this every time, but something in me wants a buddy movie with her and the wino. Like, I want them to do a long con. Like, I want them to be successful in some way, working together, going on a road trip, maybe going to the fair. I don't know. Like, I want to send those two off, and I want to watch that movie. I also want to watch the movie in which James Caan stays with Mother, and Mother emotionally abuses him into some sort of different role.
I mean, I can totally see that happening, and I can sort of see her losing her mind in a way, in the process of that, and even like monologuing to herself at some point. They're probably watching me. Well, let them see what kind of person I am. I'm not even going to swat that fly. I hope they are watching. They'll see, and they'll know, and they'll say, why? She wouldn't even harm a fly.
I'm so glad. Oh,
I had to get it in somehow.
Well, trouble is, it could be slipped in any of the Quinnisodes and maybe work. And I don't know about us.
Yeah, for some reason we are, at least I am, drawn to these movies where there are very problematic relationships between mothers and their sons.
I am too. I was like, the last movie we talked about had this, and that was Hereditary.
So thank you, Quinn, for joining me today to talk about Lady in a Cage. What should we do next?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I feel like I had an idea and I forgot it.
Well, we had talked about doing Heretic. I feel like the hoopla over that has sort of passed, though. So, and I don't know if it's really worth revisiting, honestly.
I mean, it is if you want to see creepy Hugh Grant, which I think we do.
Oh my God. I want to see any kind of Hugh Grant.
Yeah. I think we could do it. But I don't know. Yeah. We could do a little religious horror bit.
Oh, that would be fun.